It was a warm Saturday night in Southern California, the kind of evening that seemed ordinary and calm. Gloria Zamora had just finished dinner with someone she trusted deeply. The conversation was easy, the mood hopeful. Everything about the night felt normal, until it wasn't. Around 9:40 p.m., Gloria stepped out of the restaurant and headed toward the parking lot. What happened next unfolded in less than a minute. From the darkness, a figure appeared. There was no warning, no chance to escape, only the sudden crack of gunfire, followed by silence. In that brief moment, 3 lives were changed forever. And when authorities revealed who the gunman was, shock rippled through the community. This is the story of that night, a story marked by ambition, betrayal, obsession, and the courage of a woman who chose not to remain silent. Let's take a closer look at Gloria Zamora's story. She was born around 1985 in Fresno, California, the 3rd child in a family of Mexican immigrants. Her mother was from Palpa, Zacatecas, and her father came from Colima. Gloria's earliest years were shaped by turmoil. Her father battled alcoholism, and there were reports of abuse that left lasting scars. By the time she was a toddler, her parents had separated. Gloria, her mother, and her 3 siblings moved to East Los Angeles, where they lived under the strict rules of her grandmother's household. Life was tough. To make ends meet, her mother and older brother started a small food business, but money was always tight. Gloria later described her childhood as difficult and far from carefree. She only made it through the 8th grade before her life shifted dramatically. At 16, she became pregnant with her first daughter. The baby's father was even younger than she was and did not stay involved. Overnight, Gloria was thrust into single motherhood while still a teenager herself. With her family support, she relocated to San Bernardino County, determined to create a better future. After her daughter's birth, Gloria worked tirelessly, sometimes holding 2 or 3 jobs at once, while attending night classes to finish high school. Her only goal was to give her child the kind of stability she never had. But not everything in her family followed the same path. While Gloria tried to stay focused, her siblings slipped into struggles with addiction, straining their relationships and creating distance between them. By 20, Gloria had married for the first time and soon had 2 more children. For a while, life seemed steady, but cracks slowly began to appear. Infidelity crept into her marriage, eroding the trust she relied on. She hesitated to leave, worried about raising 3 children on her own. Then, life delivered an even greater challenge. At 24, during what was supposed to be a routine doctor's visit, Gloria was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. The diagnosis was devastating. She faced the overwhelming task of battling illness while caring for her children and trying to keep her household together. That struggle pushed her toward a difficult but necessary choice, ending her marriage and moving forward on her own. Not long after the divorce, she met a man named Thomas Alberto Tamayo. Thomas stood out wherever he went. Neighbors describe him as magnetic and charming, someone women often found hard to resist. But when he met Gloria, the connection felt different, something deeper. Over time, their bond grew, and eventually, they became a couple. For Gloria, it felt like the start of a new chapter after years of hardship. Marriage to Thomas brought a sense of stability, and together they built a large, blended family. In time, they welcomed 4 more children, including twins in 2017. With 6 kids now under her roof, Gloria's days were full of noise, energy, and love. Even in the middle of such a busy household, Gloria never lost her drive. She was always thinking of new ways to support her family. Around the time her twins were born, she turned her focus toward an idea that combined both passion and purpose. Fitness had always been a part of her life. After her last pregnancy, she struggled with her body and identity, feelings many mothers could relate to. Instead of hiding, she chose to be open about it. Gloria began posting workout routines, honest advice, and encouraging messages online. Her content was aimed at mothers like her, women learning to care for themselves again while balancing everything else. At first, her efforts drew little attention. Most of her early viewers weren't even the audience she wanted to reach. But Gloria didn't stop. She kept posting, showing up every day, fueled by determination and the hope of building a community. Slowly, her message began to resonate. More and more women saw themselves in her story, and they found comfort in her honesty. Step by step, Gloria grew into a fitness influencer. Her following eventually reached more than 165,000 people, many of them mothers who saw her not just as a trainer, but as proof that resilience was possible. By early 2025, at 40 years old, Gloria's ambitions had only grown. Her online success opened new doors, but she longed for more personal connection. Around this time, she met Hector Garduno, a father of 4 and a man known for his dedication and integrity. Their bond began with mutual respect and a shared passion for fitness. With Hector's encouragement, Gloria's confidence deepened. She began leading classes at a local gym, where clients admired not only her methods but also her story of perseverance. Together, she and Hector dreamed of opening a gym of their own. Her journey took another step forward in mid-2025, when she joined a podcast centered on women's empowerment. In episode 18, Gloria opened up fully, sharing the struggles of being a teenage mother, the shock of her cancer diagnosis, and the loneliness she felt when her family failed to support her during her hardest moments. It was a rare, vulnerable glimpse into everything she had survived. In a later podcast episode released on June 16th, Gloria shared something that took many of her followers by surprise. Behind her upbeat videos and motivating words, she had been carrying a private struggle. For the first time, she spoke openly about her separation from Thomas. The divorce had turned hostile. Gloria described the emotional abuse she endured, how it wore her down, chipped away her confidence, and left her questioning her own worth. Living with someone who constantly belittled her, she explained, was a quiet pain no one could see through the polished clips she posted online. Her honesty struck a chord. Listeners called her words raw, brave, and deeply human. It was a reminder that even those who inspire others can be fighting unseen battles, and that healing often begins the moment we choose to speak our truth. For Gloria, this was a turning point. She no longer wanted silence to define her life. She wanted her children to see strength, dignity, and courage in action. What seemed to her like an empowering act, opening up about her toxic marriage, was also a dangerous one. Just 5 days later, everything changed. On Saturday, June 21st, Gloria went to dinner at a sushi restaurant in a busy shopping center. Hector, her business partner, was with her. To anyone watching, it was a normal evening, casual conversation, talk of future plans, the steady building of a new life. But at 9:40 p.m., as they walked toward the parking lot, their night was shattered. A man approached suddenly and opened fire, first at Hector, then at Gloria. There was no warning, no time to react. It was a cold, calculated attack. As the gunman tried to escape, an off-duty police officer nearby heard the shots and intervened. He confronted the suspect as he attempted to drive away, and a shootout followed. Within moments, the attacker was fatally wounded. When authorities confirmed his identity, the community reeled. It was Thomas, Gloria's husband. Paramedics rushed Gloria and Hector to the hospital, but their injuries were too severe. Despite every effort, neither survived. News spread rapidly, flooding social media within hours. Gloria's name trended as people across the country expressed grief, outrage, and disbelief. Her videos resurfaced, clips of her smiling, encouraging others, lifting up mothers who felt unseen. To many, the tragedy was almost unbearable given the timing. Just days earlier, Gloria had revealed her truth, her abusive marriage, her fight to reclaim her life, and her hope to move forward. For some, this wasn't simply a tragedy. It was a warning unheeded, a crime that seemed to announce itself in advance. Many called it what it was, femicide. As investigators dug deeper, more unsettling details came to light. Tension in the marriage had reportedly existed for years, beginning after the birth of their first child. Financial stress often led to arguments, with Gloria working multiple jobs while Thomas contributed little at home. She tried to hold everything together, work, children, and household, while he remained distant. One constant clash between them was order. Gloria valued structure and cleanliness, while Thomas dismissed it. But the deepest wound came when she shared her dream of creating fitness videos for mothers. Still recovering from childbirth and struggling with her own insecurities, she wanted to use her story to motivate others. Instead of supporting her, Thomas belittled her efforts, mocking her body and telling her no one would care about a woman with stretch marks and loose skin. Thomas's words had been cutting, designed not to help, but to silence. At first, Gloria listened. She doubted herself and set her dreams aside. But over time, her daughters became her strength. Their belief in her reignited the fire Thomas had tried to put out. In the days following her death, it was Gloria's oldest daughter who became the family's voice. Through grief, she spoke with honesty and courage, about how much she missed her mother, how she still expected to see her walk through the door, how she carried the weight of staying strong for her siblings and grandmother. Rumors quickly spread that Hector had been Gloria's new partner. Her daughter pushed back against this, clarifying that on the night of the attack, they were finishing a business meeting, finalizing plans for the gym they dreamed of opening. Hector had been a partner, yes, but in work, not in love. Her eldest son described Gloria's marriage to Thomas as nothing less than a living hell. Outwardly, Thomas presented himself as a caring stepfather and respectable man. At home, the truth was different. Her older daughters admitted they had disliked Thomas for years. To the world, he seemed polished, polite, almost princely. In private, they said, he was manipulative and obsessed with control. While Thomas told others he was the provider, it had always been Gloria who carried the household, working multiple jobs, raising the children, and running their home. After her last pregnancy, she underwent reconstructive surgery to remove excess skin, but Thomas twisted even that into his story, bragging to friends that he had paid for it. In the months leading up to the tragedy, as Gloria's influence grew and her online store flourished, resentment consumed Thomas. Jealousy surfaced. He mocked her appearance, belittled her work, and chipped away at her confidence. Gloria began pulling away emotionally. A year before her death, she told him she no longer wanted to be with him, but he refused to let her go. Finally, in early 2025, she decided to end their 15-year marriage once and for all. Her mother later revealed that Thomas's behavior had become obsessive. He stalked Gloria, followed her to work, and made threats. In her words, he would do anything to destroy her. After the murder, the community stepped in to support Gloria's children. A fundraiser quickly gathered momentum, describing her as a radiant spirit, a motivator, and a devoted mother whose life was cut short by violence. Within days, more than $25,000 was raised to support her 7 children, ranging in age from 8 to 24, and to cover funeral expenses. Hector's daughters launched a fundraiser of their own, remembering their father as a hard-working man who loved deeply and lived with purpose. His loss, they said, left a hole no words could fill. But as tributes poured in, social media also turned bitter. While many called for justice for Gloria, others defended Thomas. Some argued that he, too, deserved to have his story told, that he had been a loyal husband, a father, a provider. Others went further, placing blame on Gloria. They accused her of wounding his pride, questioned her choices as a mother, and even suggested she should have dressed or behaved differently. What followed was a disturbing wave of misogyny, attempts to rationalize the violence Gloria had endured. Videos surfaced from people who claimed to know Thomas, some accusing Gloria of being manipulative, even suggesting she had been the abuser. One video referenced a supposed domestic violence complaint from January, alleging Gloria had once been arrested for attacking Thomas. Others insisted he had given her everything, that he had been the devoted one, and that nothing she had was ever enough. Some went so far as to claim that Gloria and Hector mocked Thomas, fueling the idea that humiliation had driven him past his breaking point. The investigation, however, revealed something darker. In the days leading up to the attack, Thomas had begun tracking Gloria's every move. Police believe he placed a GPS device on her car to monitor her in real time. On the night of the murder, he followed her from the moment she left home, hiding in the shadows for nearly an hour, watching her every step. He knew she was with Hector. He knew where they were. And investigators believe he knew exactly what he intended to do. Some speculated his plan didn't stop at the restaurant, that after the shooting, he may have intended to go after Gloria's children as well. No matter which version of events people choose to believe online, one brutal truth cannot be erased. 11 children lost their parents that night. 11 young lives now carry the weight of an absence no one can ever replace. The love, the protection, the guidance they once had was stolen in a single act of violence. And that is the heart of this story. Beyond the rumors, beyond the arguments on social media, this is what matters most. 11 children left behind, living in the aftermath. So the question lingers, how do we protect the next Gloria? How do we stop this from happening again?